Hello friends, I am Dr. Anupama Goel. I am working as a lecturer in Biani College of Science and Management, Kalwar in the subject Botany. I welcome you all on behalf of Group KPO. Today I will deliver my lecture on Saccharomyces. My friends, as all of you are well aware, that Saccharomyces is commonly known as the yeast, and about 40 saprophytic species of Saccharomyces are known to be found growing on organic matter rich in sugar. Saccharomyces cerevisiae, my friends, is also used in the baking industries and in the sugar industry, and so this fungus is also known as the baking yeast or the brewer yeast. My friends, now as you see on the board, I move towards the cell structure. The cells are unicellular, but when these cells are found to be arranged in short chains, they form a pseudomycelium. So my friends, the cells may be elliptical, rectangular, oval and globose in outline. Now my friends, these cells are hyaline, but when these cells are found to be arranged in colonies, these cells are white, cream colored or are having the brownish pigments. Well my friends, as you see on the board, the cell of the Saccharomyces is surrounded by a thick cell wall. This cell wall is firm and is composed of chitin, but cellulose is absent, and many polysaccharides, lipids and proteins are also the constituent of the cell wall. Electron microscopic studies reveal that the cell wall is made up of two layers, but in Saccharomyces cerevisiae, my friends, the cell wall is made up of three layers. The outer layer is made up of mannan and protein, the middle layer is made up of glucan, and the inner layer is made up of glucan and protein. Well, inner to the cell wall lies the plasma lemma, which has pits. Now my friends, as you see in the diagram, the vacuolated cytoplasm contains many granules, and the volutin granules and oil droplets and many cytoplasmic or cell organelles are found to occur in the vacuolated cytoplasm, like mitochondria, dictosome, ribosomes and endoplasmic reticulum. So my friends, this vacuole, which you see in the center, is a large vacuole and is surrounded by a membrane known as the tonoplast. This vacuole also contains a watery substance and many granules of polymetaphosphate and lipids. This vacuole also contains some enzymes like ribonucleases, proteases and esterases. So my friends, according to Weger and Peniston, the central vacuole is in reality a vacuolated nucleus, and the body lying on its one side is the nucleolus. But according to Alexopoulos, in the center of the vacuolated nucleus lies the nucleolus. Now friends, I move towards the life cycle, or I move towards the reproduction in Saccharomyces. Well, it occurs by vegetative means and by sexual means. Now I take how it occurs by vegetative means. It occurs by two processes. First of all, budding. What is budding? In budding, the protoplast bulges out in the form of a bud. The nucleus divides mitotically into two daughter nuclei. One of the daughter nucleus migrates into the bud. Later on, this bud separates from the parent cell and leaves a scar on the mother cell. This scar is known as the bud scar. Now what is fission? Fission is simply the splitting of a cell into two daughter cells by means of a constriction and by means of a transverse wall. So my friends, the nucleus undergoes intranuclear division, and as a result of which a constriction appears. A constriction appears in the middle of the cell, and later on a transverse septum is laid down, as a result of which two uninucleate daughter cells are formed. Now friends, I am moving towards the sexual reproduction in Saccharomyces. Well friends, it occurs during unfavorable conditions and when the food supply is exhausted. So friends, sex organs are absent in Saccharomyces. There are three types of life cycle in Saccharomyces: haplobinding life cycle, diplobinding life cycle and haplodiplobinding life cycle. In haplobinding life cycle, the haploid phase is dominant and the diploid phase is of short duration. Two somatic cells which are haploid, they function as potential gametangia, and these somatic cells, they send out their protuberances towards each other. These protuberances, they meet with each other, or these protuberances, they come in contact, and the ball at the point of the contact of the two protuberances dissolves to form a conjugation tube. Now my friends, the two nuclei of the functional gametangia, they migrate into the conjugation tube. The two nuclei fuse to form a diploid nucleus. This is known as a diploid zygotic cell, which later on functions as the ascus. Now the diploid nucleus of the ascus divides meiotically into 8 nuclei, which later on become arranged into 8 ascospores. These ascospores are later on liberated from the ascus. Now friends, I move towards the diplobiotic life cycle. As the name suggests, the diploid phase is dominant over here, and the haploid phase is of short duration. Instead of the 8 ascospores, 4 ascospores are formed inside the ascus, and these ascospores, they function as gametangia, and these ascospores copulate in pairs and result in the formation of a diploid zygotic cell. This diploid zygotic cell sends out a germ tube which pushes its way through the ascus wall, and this germ tube, my friends, later on becomes multicellular to give rise to a sprout mycelium. The new diploid yeast cells are budded from it. Now I am summing up my lecture by moving towards haplodiplobiotic life cycle. Well, as the name suggests, the haploid phase and the diploid phase both are of pretty long duration, and in this 4 ascospores are formed. Out of these 4 ascospores, 2 ascospores are of one mating type, and the other 2 ascospores are of the other mating type. The zygote formed by the fusion of the two gametangia continuously multiplies by budding and gives rise to a number of diploid cells. These diploid cells are formed within the ascus, and later on ascospores are formed from these diploid cells. For more details, friends, kindly log on to my website www.grookpo.com. Thank you, thank you, thank you.